Hey, I'm Susanna Lanier, actor and acting coach for over 25 years.
I'm Jess Greenberg, casting director for over 10 years.
We're here to help you navigate this crazy, creative, and sometimes chaotic journey into the film and television world.
We share our insights as to what works.
And invite some pretty spectacular guests to share more ideas to move you on your journey.
So without further ado, let's get into the show.
Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Adam Capriolo, known for his roles in The Bold Type, Tante Framboise, and Brad's Status. In addition to his acting career, he's now adding writer and director credits to his impressive resume. Join us as we dive into his journey, challenges, and what's next in his career.
Hello.
Yay! Hello.
Yay. Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. Jess and I were saying we're sort of put this whole our podcast on hiatus for a long time, and now we're back. So we're super excited to have you, and we get to
amazing.
chat and Christmas time and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah.
yay
Christmas.
I love it. I love it. Cool.
Okay, so let's get right into it.
Let's do
Great.
it.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
Yeah, can you tell us, when did you discover acting? Like, how old were you? And
I was quite young when I knew I wanted to do like theater. In my elementary school, there was like the grade 5 play that I was like looking forward to since like grade 1.
Aw.
And I almost changed schools in the middle of elementary school. And then my mom just reminded me of this the other day, and I didn't want to change schools because they didn't have a grade 5 play.
You're
And I was
like, no way.
I kind of need to do the grade 5 play. It's a really big deal.
You've been waiting 4 years, like, you
Yeah.
know, like
yeah,
It's a huge
half your
deal.
life at
Yeah.
that
It
It's
point.
was
like prom.
Broadway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. And then when I was in like grade 6, we had to do a project on like what we wanted to be when we grew up, and we had to like base it off a certain person, like choose a specific person in that field and do the project around them. And I chose movie star.
Oh,
And
amazing.
and I chose Jim Carrey.
Oh,
So I was like,
best.
Amazing.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Mm.
Cool. And so
Yeah.
you did the grade 5 play. You stuck it out at that school.
I did the grade 5 play. I was Friedrich in The Sound of Music.
Wow.
Well, actually, originally I was cast as Rolf.
Okay.
And then I saw that he was really only in one scene. And I was like,
Right.
I don't like that. I want to be in more scenes. I
So
want
you
more.
advocated. You advocated for yourself. So was it always singing, dancing, and acting?
I
Or
think
was
when
it
I was younger, it was just like, I would love attention on a stage, please.
Okay.
And then it
Amazing.
evolved into an appreciation for the art.
Right.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very
So when you did Sound of Music, did that
Mhm.
like make
It blew my
even
mind.
Okay, so even more so, this like felt right to you. This was now
Oh,
where you
yeah.
wanted to be. This was your like happy place.
Like the audition
100%.
process, the script, the block.
Well, there was
like
no
all of
audition
that?
process. We
Okay.
had to write on a piece of paper what role we wanted as first choice and second choice. And I wrote Rolf.
Okay.
And then when I got cast, I was like, absolutely not. I know this was my decision, but no.
That's hilarious.
I gotta have more scenes. But then
Yeah.
when we did the show, yeah, it was like, yeah, just performing in front of an audience, making people laugh, is my favorite thing. And it has been
Amazing.
since then. Yeah.
And so do you prefer comedy to drama, or do you not care?
I would say when I first did, because I went to theater school, I went to Dawson,
Yeah.
and I think I had this idea of myself that I was like, everyone thought I was just funny.
Right.
And I was like, I can do tragedy. Let me cry on stage. Let me cry in a movie. And then I did a lot of that in my 20s. And now I'm like, I'm over that. I like
You
Yeah.
proved
I like doing
yourself.
that. It's fine. But it's just like comedy is it's just the best, like it's a conversation you're having with an audience, and like I feel much more present in that setting. Like listening to the audience, responding to the audience, and
Mhm.
like you just have to be so in the moment. And I think I prefer that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I guess also in our like because you're in Montreal, it's also
Do whatever.
whatever I can do. Comedy, drama, sing, dance, juggle, like
Exactly. I'm
like
like,
Yeah.
what else do I need to
whatever.
learn how to do?
Yeah, I'll do whatever you need. Like I'm
Exactly.
available. I can play all sorts of different nationalities. Like just
Yeah.
that's so funny.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know why there's not more comedy in Montreal.
Because there's not a lot of comedy, period, lately. It's kind of something that
True.
I would say like in the past like 10 years, the idea of like joke heavy comedy has become much more niche and
Mm-hmm.
much less respected.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of seen as fluff a bit,
Right.
Right.
where I genuinely think it's um not only like the most interesting and difficult thing to act, but the hardest thing to write. And I
Yeah.
think
Mm-hmm.
in the past like 10 years, we've seen how like writers have been sort of like pushed to the side a lot. And when you do that, you don't get good scripts, which means you don't get good comedy. And like, I think I would love that's a lot of what I write, but I would love a resurgence of like joke heavy comedy. And then maybe that would be reflected in Montreal. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, because I find like in recent years, um, like I always think about like how I grew up, in that Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Adam
Mhm.
Sandler, even a bit older Joe Rogan, Seth
I'm like,
Rogen.
nope.
Yep.
Nope. Seth Rogen, like yeah, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, like growing up with their movies also made me obsessed with comedy. And
Totally.
and that even and I find even, I mean, like RIP Just for Laughs, but like now you see the Just for Laughs lineup and I'm not saying these people aren't talented or whatever, but it's all live podcast shows.
I know.
Right.
There's no like where are the comedians? Where are the show
Where's
like
the script?
the
Mm-hmm.
Where's the
Yeah.
script?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, it's like
it's wild.
it the more we go away from writing being like an actually like difficult art form that requires time and money,
Yeah.
the less we have comedy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the more we
It's
can concentrate on like writers being important,
mm-hmm.
then you will have the time to write jokes.
Yeah.
Because finding a good joke takes like a while. It's not like first thought. And with a drama, you can sort of just ride off your first thought. But with a
Mm-hmm.
comedy, it requires time to get to that perfect place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
interesting. We got to
Hmm.
bring some stuff back.
I
I
agree.
I think comedy is going to come back. I do because I
I think
think
so too.
people. I listen. I'm one of those people who binged all these, shows like The Penguin and these heavy shows, and I
Hmm.
love them. But
Totally.
after one, I need a break, and then
Yeah.
Only Murders in the Building. Like, what a perfect, funny slash
Yeah.
bingeable, delightful kind of, and it feels good. You can watch it before you go to bed, and then you sleep okay. You don't have like all crazy dreams, and you're living in Gotham, and somebody's breaking into your house, and everybody's crazy. So it's
Yeah.
nice, and I do think there's going to be a resurgent because I think people don't want the heavy. They want the escape from the heavy. I really believe that. And now they're making comedy. So before comedy was like comedy, we thought of comedy. Don't get me wrong. Friends is amazing. Big Bang is amazing, but it was sitcom, laugh track, not as bingeable. And we went into this real bingeable mindset. So the
Mhm.
drama sort of took over. But now there's a lot of comedy that's also very streaming service binging type of it's coming.
Which I do find that like the comedy that's like currently being so I wrote a pilot a couple of years ago that well over the past few years that I've been pitching around to people, and the one thing that most streaming services said was we because people binge,
Yeah.
we want our series to be serial and not episodic. So there has to be an overarching story every
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
unlike Friends, which was like we restart every episode. There's a
Yes.
bit of a story,
They
but it's
did.
more.
Yeah, that I was going to say Friends actually was one had a bingeable because they really had the Rachel Ross saga that we continued to follow, which made it interesting. But I know what you mean. There were still whole stories in their on their own. Yeah.
Which I think is how comedy thrives the best, when you don't have to rely on like an arc
Mm-hmm.
as much as just like, okay, this episode, what's the gang up to today? Like The Office, like
I know,
30
so good.
Rock.
But those are
Like,
the best shows to like put on while you're falling asleep, because then if you like miss something, then you're just like, okay, just pick it up wherever. It doesn't matter. So
I
to me,
have
that's just as bingeable.
exact. Well, I
You
think
know?
it's like almost more like
Yeah.
it's a very it gets like the serialized makes you like have to press next episode,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the episodic, you can fold your laundry. Like you can
Literally,
like
yeah.
hook. Like I have 30 Rock going in an infinite
So
loop
good.
for like the
Yeah.
past 15 years. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
So good.
it's special.
It is special. I agree.
Mhm.
And I was
And
never
difficult.
Oh, I'm sure it's difficult.
Yeah.
I've never, well, I shouldn't say that. I did try to write something. It was like Mom's Murder Mystery. And it was not only murders in the building, but that was what I would have aspired. to have.
Yeah.
But the jokes, it's impossible. Like, it's so hard to make it funny. I'm like, this is not funny. Nothing I'm saying is funny. You know what I mean? Like, it's
When I
really
first wrote my
hard.
pilot,
Yeah.
I have I work with my writing agent when I write,
Mhm.
and I wrote this pilot that I thought was like hilarious. And then I sent it to him, and he was like, "Okay, it's great, but like it has to be funny." And I was like,
Oh.
"Oh, I thought every line was hilarious." And we would every week I would send him a new draft, and he'd be like, "Okay, you don't need all these words because you're losing the joke." And then
I
like
know.
you like get it down. It just took it took like 6 months to from my original script to what we ended up bringing out to pitching. That was just completely different, and like the jokes became clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer and
Yeah.
clearer. But you need other people. You need a room. You need like
Yeah.
you're not like being funny in your own head is crazy. Like it's not
Everything's funny. I know. Everything's hilarious.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
hilarious.
This is so funny. And then people read it out loud and they're all like, I'm like, why are they reading it like that? They don't get it.
Or they're like, this is really sad. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something. It's exciting though. And yeah, I mean, I think there is a resurgent though, even in the episodic, because like my nephew, who's 24 years old, wears a
Mhm.
t-shirt that has, Rainn Wilson on it. You know what I mean? Like there was
Totally.
when The Office went on Netflix, all these 20-year-olds are like,
Yeah.
this is hilarious. And Pam from The Office said that people were going up to her. Do you know you look exactly like Pam
Yeah.
from The Office, but you like older? You look like
Yeah,
an
yeah,
older
yeah.
version of that. She's like, thank you. Like,
We
because
age.
yeah, because they had no idea. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, 20-year-olds think they're
Like, why would they?
watching.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, why would they? They're like, oh my God, she looks just like the girl from The Office, but older.
Totally.
So there definitely is, but I guess when you're pitching to these streaming services, do you think it's just ideas, or do you think they have done the research that this is what people want?
I think it's complicated because I don't know, my experience was a bit confusing
Okay.
because I a lot of it is like based off of what already has existed.
I
So
know.
some of the notes I would get from different streaming places was, well, we're actually looking for stuff that's more like Ted Lasso. And I'm
Right.
like, well, I didn't write that.
Yeah. So what do you mean? Sports? Like what do they like what do they mean?
It's like they want it to feel, I think, lightly comedic with not necessarily like any kind of cynicism.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, I don't think everyone wants that. I
Right.
think some people want that. And I know that other people want this because I want this.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like, and so like a lot of them would be like, this is great. However,
Yeah.
we're looking for
No.
something like more hopeful.
Right.
And I was like, okay. But what if you did something that wasn't?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, listen, misery loves company. There's an audience for these
There
kinds
is an
of,
audience.
yeah, for
And
sure.
comedy doesn't come from good people doing good things. It comes from complex people making complex decisions.
Yeah.
So like you it's not funny to watch a hero succeed.
Yeah.
Like that's what drama's for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's much funnier to watch someone who thinks highly of themselves but is actually kind of insane
Yeah.
making decisions. And then it's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Faulty Towers. Did you watch Faulty Towers?
Exactly. Love. Like
Right. Amazing. That's what I think. Somebody who thinks a lot of themselves making really stupid
every
decisions.
single character thinks they're right, but
Yes.
everyone at home knows they're all wrong.
They're all wrong. That's hilarious. They're
Yeah, exactly.
hilarious.
Exactly.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
That
seen
might
it.
be an
I'll check
yeah,
it
it might be an obscure show. It was like my dad's favorite show. It's like a British show from like the 80s,
The 70s. Yeah.
70s, even worse. But I
15
remember that.
episodes. There's only 15
Hilarious.
episodes of the whole series. It's like a classic in British comedy. It's with John
Yeah.
Cleese.
It's a
Oh,
perfect
And
comedy show, I
it's
think, in terms of with the genre you're talking about. Everything's
exactly.
about, and every character's kind of an asshole, and exactly what Adam just said. You're staring at
But
they think they're right and they're very determined and they're
but you love them.
for sure.
Yeah.
check it out. We'll get back to we'll get back to more comedy writing soon, but I want to just continue with like your acting journey,
Sure, yeah.
because I think that's how everything started, right? It was actor first, and then you went to theater school at Dawson, and then when did you like take acting seriously or treat it as a career? Like, was there any plan B ever, or it was like always this is what you're doing?
I always wanted to do the big three, acting, writing, directing. I just didn't really know that you were like allowed to say that out loud until I was like in my mid-20s.
Wow. Okay.
I yeah. So I took it all very seriously, like almost embarrassingly seriously at quite a young age. I
Yeah.
started working when I was like 18 and and yeah, and I think pretty ignorantly did not have a plan B and thought if you ask me to have a plan B, you are an offensive person.
Right.
And now I'm like, oh, you just cared for my well-being. I see. Yeah, so I left school. I started working in theater pretty quickly. And yeah, I like haven't stopped.
Wow. And you have
That was
a good group of friends from theater school that are still acting and in the industry today, right? Like,
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that from theater school or from around that time that like we all grew up together, like either in theater school acting together and then or I have friends from outside of theater school who still act now too.
yeah.
And um yeah, I've always kind of been surrounded by artists. Like the
Yeah.
in high school too, like those are my friends. It was always like, okay, who wants to do this on our weekends? You know
These
what
are
I
my
mean?
people. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 17, me and like a group of friends who didn't go to theater school together, um, produced our own production of The Importance of Being Earnest, like at the McGill Players Theater Club, and we took it so seriously. And it's still like one of my like favorite experiences in theater because it was we just did that ourselves when we were 17. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. I know. You know, when you think of like, well, for me also the stuff that I've been in, my like favorite experience was like summer theater at Hudson doing the Melville Boys. Like just
Totally.
because we had it was like summer camp, and we were different. Like you guys took yourself really seriously, but we didn't. But it was just happened to be fun, and it was like I felt like it was in summer camp, and everybody was so kind, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. It wasn't like the big one that people would, because the big one always feels to me, it's in hindsight it was like pressure, whereas the ones that are
Mhm.
unexpected are like the joy.
Totally.
And that's a great lesson to know that, like, when we're chasing that carrot, we want the
Mhm.
big pot of gold. It's not always the joy that's going to come in the pot of gold. It's usually actually comes from very unexpected projects that you don't expect to be anything. And you're like,
Yeah.
wow, this is special.
I had a really like enlightening experience like 8 years ago, I guess at this point,
Mhm.
where I was shooting the Bull Type. We shot season 2 and season 3 back to back in the same year. And we had a 2 month break in between that
Yeah.
where I did Shakespeare in the Park.
Yeah.
And we did Romeo and Juliet. And on the set of the Bull Type, I was feeling that, like always feeling the pressure, like I have to like make sure I keep getting asked back every episode, like I have to like self prove myself, whatever. And then we wrapped the Bull Type at like 3 a.m. one day, and I started rehearsals at 9 a.m. that same day.
Oh my God.
And I remember being like, I'm I'm going from being small fish in big pond on this TV show, and I'm going to be the TV actor in the theater play. I'm like a star here.
Yeah.
And then all the same emotions came up. I was so insecure. I was so like nervous about my performance, and like I had like panic attacks towards tech week. Like it was just crazy. And then when the run happened, that all went away and I felt so good that
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, they're both the same." And
That
I can
interesting.
feel
Yeah.
like just as confident on the Bull Type because I also felt just as insecure on the Shakespeare in the Park, like independent, like the small theater production.
Oh, that's
And
amazing. That's
it
not
changed my
amazing that
perspective.
you such a good perspective. Sometimes I tell the students when
Yeah.
they're going to audition, like what you have to do is when you're auditioning for the big stuff, think you're auditioning for like a student, Concordia student film. Like, because if you
Yeah.
have that energy that you're just an actor trying to get in your character's mindset and have a goal and make some interesting choices, no matter what you're doing. And then
And
it's just the work.
yeah.
And you're
And
going to
like
be insecure
all
anyways.
of that pressure,
Yeah.
all of that pressure is made up. Like yes,
In your head.
yeah. And like the the actors that you work or the people that you work with on a big production versus a small production, they're still all just people.
Yeah.
And like if you can make it work in one setting, you can easily make it work in the other. They're just people. So like when I started season 3 of the Bull Type, it was like the pressure was gone, the anxiety was gone. It was just like just show up and deliver.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
And did you have
I think
fun? Was that like your best season then?
oh yeah, that's when the role started getting bigger.
Yeah.
Like it was
Amazing.
like like that's when they started writing me as a character, like a proper character on the show.
Wow.
And it's fully like I always remind myself that even when I'm doing like a a day on a TV show, I tell myself like don't think of yourself as the day player. Go in and already start talking like you're a main cast member.
Right.
Because like people just treat you the way that you asked to be treated and
Yeah.
you'll feel better. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
like yeah, it's no one is out there like rating you on a scale of 1 to like in that way. Like it's like everyone's too busy thinking about other things. Like you just have to show up and do a good job, which one can do if you've done it before, no matter what the setting is.
Yeah.
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 Wow. And so for the Bold Type, um, you played Andrew,
Hmm.
39 episodes over 5
Yeah.
seasons. That's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
Is that how the
Amazing.
role started? Like when you went in for it, like so because you said by season 3 you were more confident and that's when it. So what was sort of the journey with that role and where were you in your career when you were going in for that one?
So I had just done Brad Status, which was like
Yeah.
my first time working on an American production. and it was very intimidating. It was directed by Mike White, and my scene was just Ben Stiller and I talking to each other. And I had never done anything like that when I was 23.
Right.
And so I think that experience really like gave me like a bit of like a high and like a boost of like confidence of just like I want this again. I want to
Yeah.
do this stuff like this. I want to do comedy. I want to like whatever. And then this bold type thing came through and it was just one line on one episode. It was the pilot. They were recasting someone. There was like it was like possibly recurring. You'll probably just like and for most of like you'll probably just be in the background of episodes. And I remember watching this, I think it was like a Lisa Kudrow commencement speech a few years ago, where she had been like on she was originally cast on as Roz and Frasier and then was fired.
Okay.
And she didn't have a job. She was sort of like desperate for anything. And she was offered like two lines in Mad About You as like waitress with no name. And she was like, I'm going in there and I'm making it a recurring character. I don't have a
Wow.
choice. I need to make money. And I kind of just like every day would be like, no matter how scared you are, just really try and force them into making you a supposed character. Like,
Yeah.
like I had a director named Victor Nelly who was in the first couple of seasons and just a lovely guy who would really like encourage me to like improv. And that sort of like stayed in the back of my brain. Like it was like, even if they don't mic you today, make a joke. And then
Right.
they'll have to mic you. Like, and
Yeah.
that sort of just like how the character continued to like grow was like forced improv that I forced upon them. and
Amazing.
and the right and yeah, and the writers were so lovely. They just like wanted that sort of relationship between us. Like they're
Yeah.
like keep giving us ideas and like we'll keep throwing back what you're giving us. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It
and
was
yeah, it was
great chemistry with oh my God, what is her name?
Melora Hardin.
Right.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
also hilarious.
And
She was
she's also
great.
on The Office.
Yeah.
She is also on The Office
Yes,
too.
I
Yeah, it all comes
remember.
back.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so funny. I always tried to watch The Bold Type and it was never available to watch in Canada.
In
And I
Canada. I know.
remember I went to Florida one time and I went to buy like a Hulu gift card because you can't even sign up to Hulu with a Canadian credit card. So I bought a Hulu gift card and I watched The Bold Type in the US because I couldn't get it here.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
no,
That's my
it's
commitment. Okay.
That's
thank you
good
for your
commitment.
service.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's like a bit of like uh what's kind of disorienting about having done the show in Montreal is nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about when I say I was on the Bold Type. But
Right.
Yeah.
whenever I'm in LA or New York, it's just a very different situation. So it's a very confusing thing to be like, did that even happen when I live here? And then when I'm in the States, it's yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because no one could watch it here.
Yeah.
Exactly, which is crazy. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Can we watch it
Mhm.
now? Is it out on a streaming service? No.
No.
No way.
There was a point where we thought maybe Disney Plus, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hulu really makes it difficult. I'm telling
They
you.
really do.
Yeah.
They really do. And it's available on Netflix like all over the world. Like that's where most of the people have like reached out to me to talk to me about it. Like it's like people from literally all corners of the world. It's pretty wild. But
Cool.
not Canada, where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where it was filmed.
Which
Yeah.
is that's what's nuts.
Yeah.
It's
Why
like
did they film it here? Like,
probably money, I'm gonna guess.
yeah.
I
Right.
don't think it was like a creative decision because the pilot was filmed in Toronto
Okay.
and then they were supposed to film it all there, but they moved it to Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. Very big
Um,
for us.
okay, so that's cool. And then yeah, I mean, it filmed over COVID also,
Ugh.
which
Ugh.
right? It was like one of the first things that started production again, no? Like,
Yeah, it was wild. We got shut down like our last season was like, I think like 20 episodes or something. Or no, season 4 was supposed to be like 20 episodes, and I think we got cut down to like 16 or something like that because of
Mhm.
COVID. So we were all together when that happened. It was quite spooky. Um because the whole cast was like American except for like me and Steph Costa. And we were all hanging out and we were watching them like fly back to Trump land where they were like denying COVID existed. And I was like, I might not see these people again. Like it was
Yeah.
it was like hugging people, like crying, like see you off in the world, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then we came back the next year and it was like masks, visors, double tests. We weren't allowed to hang out with each other outside of the thing. And we were also in that curfew period,
Right.
which for the Americans, they were like, what is this?
Yeah. They're not used to restrictions like that.
No, they're like,
Yeah.
I'm free. and
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was like, here we're not.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, I would say like I wish we could have done the last season in a saner environment because
Yeah.
it was dark.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a spooky time.
Wild
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. But I still like I love the people that I got to meet
Yeah.
on that, and they've been so helpful to me. And just yeah, I got to make so many projects with them in our on our off time. Like whenever we were bored or didn't know what to do, like I shot like a music video for one of the actresses and
Mm.
made a short film with Megan Faye, and it was just like a very like creative, juicy time. Uh that yeah, I look back on so fondly.
Very
Mm.
cool. So fun. So, and
Mm.
then that was also where your whole perspective changed, like from the play going back with
Yeah,
confidence and then seeing. So I guess like what's the balance you would say, like, how it's always like release any expectations? Because in a way it's like season 1, 2 sounded like a toxic situationship where you're like, is he gonna call? Like, am I gonna see him today? Like, am I gonna get renewed? Like that is so much energy to be like
it was
wrapped up
hard.
in. But then it's also like, you want to just release any expectation, but then you're also going in as like, I'm
It's my
here.
job.
Yeah.
Like it would be it was difficult. Yeah, like I had a really lovely experience. Like I I could probably count the days on my hand where I left set without crying because I was just so happy. Like it was just like I can't believe I'm getting to do this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, um, like you don't know if you need to get another job. Like because I was episode by episode and they don't send you scripts in advance. So it was just like I didn't know I was in season 2. I thought they had written me out because I wasn't in the first 2 episodes, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And so I was like, I guess I'm fired. I guess I'll find a new job. And so I would end every year being like, oh, I actually had a great year, but I did not know that until I was doing my taxes.
Right.
And like, because I would just always be like, are they gonna,
Yeah.
um, and
It's
yeah,
like
it
being
wasn't,
on standby. You're literally on
I was literally on
standby
standby for 5 years.
for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
job on standby and a really, really incredible job that you want
It
and
wasn't
are
until
good at.
it wasn't until the last season, I spoke to the head writer and I was like, I just want you to know that this is my current situation. And she was like, what? And then her name's Wendy, amazing person. Her and the writers team got together and like told production like uh we've written him into every episode and we've told him. So
Wow.
like figure out a contract that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Good.
Amazing.
So you
I
said you're like, I love this role, but like I'm living episode to episode here. Like I don't know what's going on and like I
I
just want to know
yeah.
what's going on.
And then like in I would say the 4th and 5th season, I was in like almost every episode, but I wouldn't know. So I was just like, I don't like, and you just get these weird like like peaks and valleys of like, I'm a star. Oh my God, I'm not. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just like it's all working out. Oh wait, maybe it's not. Like,
Yeah.
which is part of the career anyway. I think that was like a good training in some sense to be like, nothing is really ever promised, even if you have like a 7-year deal on like a TV show, the show can get canceled, you can be written off, or you might not book something after. Like,
Yeah.
I think it did help me contextualize the strikes a lot better to be like, yeah, everything is kind of unknown.
Yeah.
Like, we really don't have even if we have like something in the bag, um, that's not true.
Yeah. So
Like, we
just
don't
to
know.
get comfortable
Unknown.
with the unknown
And the
and
lack of
enjoy it
control.
while you're in it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Literally
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's
Crazy.
really hard. Yeah. And it's really not hard not to have that through line. I get it. Like when you're, you finish season one, then you have 2 months off and you're like, do I get a job or am I coming back in season two? Like, I don't know what to do. And
Yeah.
that kind of
And
energy
you're
push, pull.
you're
And
keeping yourself free
yeah,
because you're like, I might be in this season.
right.
And they know that I need it.
And you
So it's
want
not
it.
like, yeah, I need it and want it. And so there's
This is a
like,
toxic relationship.
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
I just
I,
want to say though, like, great relationship with the producers, great relationship with
Yeah, yeah,
everyone.
it's not
absolutely.
it's not a
It's
toxic relationship with bull type. It's a toxic relationship. An actor, I've talked about this before. There was this meditation specialist, and she was a Broadway actress, and she ended up now being a meditation teacher. And she's like, when I finally realized acting is like being an abusive relationship,
yeah.
you are
Yeah.
constantly you give more than you get back, and you give and you audition and you want and then once in a while you get a little something that keeps you going, stringing you along.
And it
And I was
never,
like, and it never stops.
yeah.
Yeah.
Never
And it never
stops.
gets, it
Casting
never
is
really,
similar.
yeah.
Casting is similar, we like now it's so quiet in my head. I'm like, I don't know when my next contract will be,
Mhm.
and it's like, do I get another job? Like, do I just jump into something full force? And then you get a call and you're like, I'm in. And you're like, I am busy. I have no time to think of
Yeah.
anything else. And
Exactly.
I am in this. And you're
Yeah.
just like, and you don't even think about like, when this is over, because you're just like, nope, don't have time to focus on
Yeah.
anything else.
Let me enjoy this feeling because it's
And
so
it's
ephemeral.
a bit
Yeah.
of, yeah, delusion of like, I'm gonna be working forever now. And
It's
it's like,
true. It's true. When you're on a high, you think, which is what we're going to segue into actually, like you're building. And that's the one thing the actor, especially an actor in Montreal, but I think actors anywhere now, it's very, you think you're building a career, you think you're building leverage, you think you're going to the next step. And that's the same recurring story. It's like you're never going to the next step. You're
Mhm.
working or you're not working.
I think also specifically in Canada,
Right.
I don't think there's a respect for the resume in Canada.
Okay.
I think there's it's just pretty random. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I think
well, I
there's
guess
like,
bold type could have been good though, because it's not known in Canada, but maybe not.
well, no, I mean I think the bull type was great for my career. Like,
Yeah.
I can't say that it helped me in so many settings. I have much bigger reach now to be able to audition for things and
Hmm.
work in different scenarios. But like, I really book mostly American. I really don't book a lot of Canadian stuff.
Interesting. So is
Yeah.
that what the bull type did for you? After the bull type, it put you more on the American like radar? Is that
I
so it
think,
did? Because I wanted to know what happened after the bull type. Like
sure.
what happened? Like how did it
I
change
think
your career?
I think Americans prefer and are more interested in uniqueness. And I think
Right.
Canadians are more interested in general with being risk averse.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that I'm like the most unique person in the world, but I find myself being like put into like this, like, oh, he's this person
Right.
here. well, like if we have a role, we'll see. Where in the States, it's like, oh my God, we have a person with a distinct personality. How interesting.
Hmm.
And like that has been my experience more there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to work in more Canadian stuff. It's just, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how the bold, yeah,
We also just don't have that many projects. Like, I
no,
know what you're saying. There's no, like, we just in Montreal, I mean, there's so few projects.
yeah,
So,
yeah, totally.
it's, and then, I
I'm
mean,
not, I'm not auditioning just in Montreal as well. So
right.
like,
Yeah.
it's like getting a sense of how, American casting agencies and American productions have experienced me or have talked the notes that I've received from them versus, and this is the same with pitching my TV show. Like I noticed the same thing across both things. Like there was more enthusiasm in American markets than there have been in Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And I wish that was different. It's just we're a smaller country and it's more confusing.
And less
Um,
money. Like we
yeah,
don't have the
totally.
budgets and
We don't have the budgets to take a risk.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what makes this happen. That's what makes the like, okay, Ted Lasso works. We need six of those because
Mm-hmm.
Right.
that for sure will work.
Right.
And even like, yeah. But yeah, I would say like after the bull type, I got like management in LA and uh agents, like a writing agent, right, a director agent and a acting agent in Toronto, and they rep me everywhere,
Right.
and that changed a lot.
Oh,
And
good. Yeah.
yeah. I got to like be in like I've the stuff that I've gotten to audition for is awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. I booked a pilot right after I uh right after Bold Type, like less than a year after the Bold Type. Um, series regular on like an American show, this like hilarious comedy, and the vibe on the set was with Amazon, and all the people there were like, this is like we're picking this up. This
Yeah.
is the best thing we've had in like years. Like everyone's like, this is so funny, this is so amazing, this is so that. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, everything's gonna change.
This might happen. Like, it's actually
The
happening. Yeah.
way it was worded was not might. It
Mhm.
was, oh, it's happening.
It's
And I was like,
happening. It's
yeah, yeah,
on. It's on.
yeah.
Get
And I was like,
ready.
life only goes up from here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it got canceled. It did not
Yeah.
get picked up. Uh and yeah, that was definitely like a my first one of those, like that kind of learning experience of okay, you can't actually control everything. You can't Lisa Kudrow a show into getting picked up, you know?
No, and she's had her own trials and tribulations also.
Exactly.
We only heard one side. I'm sure if every actor I know, no matter what level, has stories of very big disappointments. It hasn't,
Yeah,
I don't know any who's just been like, it's just been such a smooth ride. Like, it's been so easy right from the get go. I just started booking, everybody's had these like moments of like,
totally.
I thought my
And
life was something else. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that happened right before the strikes, and so I was sort of like, oh, I'll book another
Yeah.
pilot.
Still
I'm gonna,
optimistic. Like, okay, well, I got this one and this is huge.
yeah,
And I have good position. I'm positioned well and
yeah.
all that. Yeah. Yeah.
This rocks. Everything's fine. And then yeah, the strikes happened. And it changed everything. Like the industry is just wildly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So I want to ask you a question. We had like quite a few people who have from Montreal and then they went off to Toronto or to LA. And then they said they started getting more work in Canada. Now you've stayed in Montreal, right? You haven't done the move.
No, I've done like a month or two in LA, and I think
Okay.
I'm gonna do a month or two in New York next year. But um, it's confusing because I got all this all this sort of really started happening during the pandemic for me.
Right.
And so when I would speak to my managers and like my team, like in Toronto, I was like, should I move? Like, should I get my visa? Should I go to LA? Should I go to New York? And they're like, it doesn't matter. Everything's on tape. Like, just stay where you are. If you can,
Yeah.
if you have a nice rent and like a good group around you, that's great.
Yeah.
Which was true for a bit. And now I think it's going back. Like, I think, not necessarily like you have to be in the room, but people just have to know who you are. And I
Right.
think being in those cities, it's like, yeah, like I was just in New York and I saw some friends, and then you see another friend and they introduce you to this person, and then they talk, and then you're just like, oh, okay, now I'm like, there's a community here
Right.
that
Yeah.
leads
The
to
networking and
exactly. But also just like you want to work with people that you know you want to work with. Like you want to work with people that are a good time or a good vibe, and like they don't know that about me.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm an amazing time. And
Oh my God, the funnest. So if anybody's listening,
I am so fun.
you got the funnest, so professional, such interesting choices, just want to say. But it was interesting I just thought it was interesting. You're saying is like your team was like, just stay here. You could self-tape for anything. Still everything's over self-tape. So it wouldn't make that much of a difference. I think this is what it might not make a difference there, but does it make a difference here?
Yes.
It's like all of a sudden, well, Adam's in Montreal. Oh, but Adam's in LA. Well, oh my God, would he still work in Montreal? Like, that's what I think is interesting. So
my friend, a friend of mine,
saying.
When I was shooting that pilot, I was staying in a hotel, and I got some self tapes, and I shot all those self tapes, and I either booked them or was on the short list. And
from the
friend
hotel.
Of mine, yeah. It was very clearly in a hotel. Like the shower was in the background. Like, and a friend of mine who I was working with then, he's like, I actually want to start a self-tape studio that's just in a hotel. Because then it's the mystique. It's like, oh, where is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And when you shoot from your Montreal apartment, it's like, why does he live in a Montreal apartment?
Yeah.
What's wrong with him?
Well, that's what
or
we
like in a
talked
slate, you could say like, oh, like, sorry, the lighting is like not great. I'm just like at an Airbnb in LA. Just like
I'm trying to
shooting some
figure
pilots.
out that like language. Like I'm trying now. I say I'm currently in Montreal.
Yeah.
Right.
Like to like be like, why?
I could be.
Why is he here?
Yeah.
Funny.
I think it affects how people see you in many different ways, but I think the thing that like affects it the most is you don't have the same community here. Like if I'm auditioning for certain things that like no one I really know is doing that same thing, you can start kind of like feeling like, oh, well, I don't deserve that. Like I don't deserve to be cast in that big project, or I don't like no one here is. Like why would I like shut up? And then when I'm in like New York or LA, I'm like, oh, everyone is doing this and it's not interesting. And you'll meet people at parties who I've never heard of who are like, yeah, I just did my 6th season on this TV show. And I'm like, oh, like,
yeah,
it's just like less magical and like dreamlike. And here it's like, it sometimes feels like, well, don't dream that big. Like,
right.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's
And
not
it is.
people's like bread and butter here. Like it's like like if you're going to act, you're an actor, you know.
Yeah.
I still think you're an actor here, but it's more just like
totally. And I
there's
still feel
so-
like an
Yeah.
actor here. It feels like more like a trade here, which I also like. Like it's more clock in, clock out, like do that radio thing, do that voiceover thing, do that a couple days on set there, like do the theater gig. It's like that's not what it's like in the States. In the States, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're auditioning for TV, you're auditioning for movie. Like the difficulty for my team to do theater in the States, it's like they don't understand how that works. And then
Yeah.
my
And
agent
true, either
here,
you're a TV actor or you're a movie actor. And it's like here,
exactly,
it's like
yeah.
you have to do it all.
You do it all.
which I
which makes
kind of,
us honestly more talented.
it makes us more flexible.
Yeah.
And I think it removes the like everything or nothingness of the state's mindset.
Mhm.
Like it's not that big a deal to go to work. And then like I find like there it's like you can, I don't know, it's the stakes are higher.
Mhm.
And I think the past couple of years for me, ever since the strikes, my mindset has been work is the thing that pays for my fun time and not work is the thing that like drives my life.
Mhm.
Right.
And like, so I'm excited to get booked on things. I like money and I like to work,
And it's
but
fun. It's
yeah,
fun. Being on
sure.
set is fun.
But
Yeah.
ultimately, I'm like, when do we clock out? Like, can't wait to hang out with my friends. Can't wait to feed my cat.
Nice.
Let's go out.
Yeah.
And I think that has made it a lot. I think Montreal allows that in a very interesting way. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you can't make it your whole personality too much
Right.
because, like, how could you?
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
could you? And it's
yeah,
also, yeah, it's kind of boring if that's it,
yeah. It
if
makes you
that's
a
if
crazy person
a
too.
crazy person. You're
I will
crazy,
say, like,
Rachel.
everyone, so many people I know in LA are on like a like routine mental breakdown cycle.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's March, time to die. Like, there's there's
Yeah.
the
Oh my God.
stakes are just so high there. And here it's like, oh yeah, cool. I'll go work on this movie that maybe like will be seen on CBC Gem by like X amount of people.
Yeah. That's okay.
And that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got paid. I got to act. I got to meet new people. That's like the best part too. It's like you're going from gig to gig to gig to gig to gig,
Yeah.
different environments, and you're meeting all these different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
Although it's interesting how you say it and frame it, because I could totally understand what you mean, like from your point of view. But then it's also like, as casting, I think this is what we talk about in terms of like Montreal. I don't want to call it lazy, but you feel
Hmm.
sometimes in the auditions like there isn't that like,
Drive,
yes,
ambition. I
I
want this.
hear
exactly.
that I hear that a lot. Like
Yeah.
I hear that from lots of people. I obviously I haven't done a lot of like being behind the desk of auditions,
Mm-hmm.
except for when I've been a reader or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty surprising to hear that. Um,
I would say
yeah,
not, they're not a lot. Like I think what happens
but
is
it does
like
happen. Like I
it
know
does
that it does.
happen,
Yeah, totally.
but also like I've had some audition days where, we have to audition like for a one-liner role, and it's like, no, we need to see everyone, and let's just get on a Zoom, and actors show up and they're ready to go, and it's like I'm amazed, and I'm like, wow, this is everyone's amazing, and like I think that's great. So you do see it,
Totally.
good work and the drive, but I think it all, I think you see both. But then I guess the what comes up for us often, let's say on a TV series, is you'll get like people very excited for all the leads and the recurrings, and we'll have so many submissions for that, and then it's like, okay, we're releasing some actor roles, some principals, and and then like the submissions start to dwindle, and then you have to get on the phone like, is so and so going to be available for this, or and then it's like it's like, no, well, they're going to hold out for another season, or they're going to hold out for a bigger role, and they're going to like, so then like our pool here is so small that it's just like we don't like anyway, going off on a bit of a
No,
tangent, but like it's
I've heard that. Like
yeah.
and as one of the people who says I would like to hold out for a bigger role, I'm
Yeah, and I
sorry.
don't blame you. I totally understand. I
Yeah.
totally get it. It's just
Yeah.
that's what
It's
um
reality of the beast here.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's like I think you should be able to understand like what you are able to give as an actor
Yeah.
and what you have previously like maybe done before and us like I don't know, work around that.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think
I
your
don't know.
agent also could help you like come to those decisions. Like that's a conversation of like, okay, here's a new season of this show. Like, what do you want to do, and sort of maybe have a plan of action.
And sometimes it's just purely based off how you're doing financially. Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I was doing well financially,
Big
like
time. When
when
you
I'm
got
doing
the
well
money, you're like,
financially,
whatever, whatever. No, I'll do
exactly.
anything. Like, yeah.
Yeah, when I'm doing well, I'm like there was a point with my team where I was like only series regular and recurring, no commercials, bye.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm amazing, whatever. A year and a half later, I'm like, get me that commercial.
Anything,
Like,
anything I know. I
yeah.
know. And that's
And
okay.
totally, it's not that
Yeah.
serious. Like we're
Yeah.
putting on wigs and making funny voices. Like it's not
Yeah.
anything beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if I'm feeling good, I would only really want to do the things that make me feel good. And if I'm feeling like it's not happening, then I have to just do whatever. And that's like the confusing part about like doing the job that you love is that you just hold it to a higher standard. So like you're like, well, I want to love it all the time. And it's like no one loves their job all the time.
Yeah.
Like we're lucky to love it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And
And
then the other
also, like,
times,
if you think about like what you're doing, like when you're going to work, like, I think about like my sister who's a lawyer, and a
mm,
family mediator, that's like talking about custody, like that is like heavy that she
yeah.
has to navigate for people. Like we're creating entertainment.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, it's something I'm directing a play right now, and it's something that I told the team. We had our first meeting yesterday, and I was like, it's very important to me that this isn't life or death. This is a play. Like
Yeah.
there is no perfect outcome to this play. There
yeah,
is whatever we do. And if we have dreams of it being something and they don't happen, the audience doesn't know that.
Right.
So like there is no one holding a gun to your head.
yeah.
If you're feeling stressed, maybe take a breath and recognize that it's just a play. And like
17-year-old Adam has evolved.
Yes.
I
You've
still take it serious.
evolved.
I still take it serious. Like
Of course.
I like to say I take not taking things seriously very seriously. Like
Yeah.
Hmm.
it's like there's a way of recognizing that you're choosing anxiety and you're not actually it's not being thrust upon you. Like
Yeah.
you're not running away from a bear in the forest. That's just like how we evolved.
Yeah.
You're trying to decide what lighting cue for this setup. And that's really low stakes.
I want to hear more
So
about,
fun.
like, just quickly, if you could tell us like how it seemingly like you had this like boost of confidence after the bold type, and that's when you sort of set up your teams, and that's when you got into your writing. Is that
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I started writing and directing like short films in 2019.
mhm.
And I wrote a pilot based off one of them. And that's the project that I worked on with my agents last year. And I have a movie that I wrote with them as well.
Wow.
And now I'm trying to get make another short film as a proof of concept for the movie. Um, but at the same time, because of the whole strikes business, I ended up going back to theater. And I am directing a bunch of plays next year, which I cannot say I had on the vision board,
Okay. That's
but
okay.
I'm so excited. Like I just didn't
Oh,
realize like they could the same things that I love about movies and TV or movies in general, like I can use that mindset for directing theater. Like I just didn't, it's so weird that it didn't connect to me.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just had our first production meeting yesterday for a play I'm doing March 11th through the 15th at the Centaur,
Wow.
called
Amazing.
Resurrection.
We'll have to come watch it. Is it a
Yeah.
comedy or drama?
It's like a docu theater thing. So
Nice.
I'll do a quick little
Yes.
pitch.
Let's do a pitch. Promo it. Yeah.
Um, so my friend Dane Stewart, I don't know if you know him, he writes and produces a podcast called Resurrection. And it's about telling the stories of different gay men who died of AIDS-related illnesses during the AIDS crisis
Okay.
and resurrecting their stories, usually like
Mm.
forgotten people. And one of the people he did a podcast about, his name is Michael Callan, and he was also he was an AIDS activist and a singer-songwriter. So Dane put together this cabaret show that was telling his story while a performer sings the music that Michael Callan wrote and sang.
Oh
Wow.
my God, so cool.
And
Doesn't sound funny, but it sounds
it
like
is though.
uplifting.
No, but it is funny. Like this is
Okay,
something that
good.
like it's very important to us is sometimes the stories around people who died during the crisis are turned into these martyr victim narratives,
Yeah.
and that's not what we're doing.
Okay.
It's a party. It's like we're this is not how people like to be remembered. People do
This is
not
a
want to be.
celebration
Yeah,
of life. It's
And
totally.
not
showing what he left
true.
off,
Yeah.
like what he left
And
behind.
he's a flawed person. We're not
Of
turning him into
course.
this perfect
Yeah.
deity of martyrdom. He's just some guy who wrote music and helped move along, help the AIDS crisis be resolved in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Resolved, but like it's not resolved.
Awareness. He brought awareness to
Exactly.
the AIDS
Yeah.
crisis, and which
And
helped.
he was like a fascinating person. Like he was in this movie called Zero Patience, where he is dressed in full drag and he plays Miss HIV. And it's a bunch of guys looking into a microscope of some blood. And he appears as HIV in the blood cells, doing a little song and like talking campily to the camera.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm
so
like,
funny.
that's the idea. Gay people
Yeah.
don't take it all so seriously,
Yeah.
like I think
Yeah.
we like to think.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
the show is that. I'm very excited
Very
about it.
cool.
Mhm.
Very, very cool. And I
Amazing.
have to say, yeah, I just love that you said that because I'm so on that mindset right now about like kind of getting sick of like, if I don't, you must book a lead in American feature to be somebody. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, if I want, for me right now, I'm having such a passion or resurgent in just not just in teaching my students and teaching the beginners and finding when they have that aha moment, like I'm loving these experiences. And
it's a legacy.
and
It's a
I don't care.
legacy.
And I don't care. Like
I
I'm,
know.
you know what I mean? Like I do, but I also am very now, this is my spiritual journey, becoming witness to the ego, witness to that is you're looking for an emotional experience, a connection, and you can get that through all sorts.
And I think it's normal.
Yeah.
It's so normal for like us to want to have a legacy. And it's something that I learned from my grandmother, who is an artist, a painter. She was never famous. She never blew up, but so many people in Montreal have her art in their homes. And when I go there, I have it all over my home.
Wow.
And when I go to people, we talk about the paintings. We talk about her as a person, or if they didn't know her, we talk about just like what an odd painting or what a beautiful painting or whatever. And that's her legacy.
Yeah.
And it's not like Van Gogh, but it's like, which sucked, by the way, for him.
Yeah, for him, it would have been nice to know. Yeah.
Like we're all gonna do whatever in this world and leave some kind of like legacy behind, and it doesn't have to be Brad Pitt. Like, and that also sucks. Their lives suck. Like,
of course they have that's what I'm saying. They all have their trials and tribulations, and it's actually worse. Probably that's why they're all on drugs.
I have very successful friends in this industry, and they're not just suddenly relaxed.
Worse. Well, same back to Jim Carrey. He says, I wish everybody could be rich and famous so they could see what it was really like, because it doesn't answer any of the questions you're asking now. It resolves nothing.
What a beautiful bookend with Jim Carrey.
Yes. Well, I thought we brought the whole conversation back. Back to Jim Carrey.
Classic stand-up.
Your idol, and now, childhood idol. And now we're bringing it back. He's a very wise man. He is. He is. And I love that. And I'm on a bit of the spiritual kick. And maybe it's having had my ass kicked by the acting industry for so long, where I was like,
totally.
Fuck it. Like, why are you
no one's watching
to be
no
in
one's
an
watching you but
relation.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one is looking at you and thinking like, why haven't you done this? Like, it's
and
only ourselves.
Okay, well, Adam, thank you so much. This was amazing.
This was so
amazing.
Such a
fun. This was
pleasure
so fun.
speaking with you. And yeah,
We will be watching the sitcom when it gets sold to the States. Please don't be on Hulu. I mean, if it has to be, we'll go to the States to watch it. We'd
Okay,
like
great.
it.
We'll get a Hulu gift card.
Okay. Jess has it, organized for us. She knows how to do it. We'll all go to Vermont. We'll rent a hotel. And we'll get a Hulu gift card, and we'll watch the show that you're going to sell. But if not, it's going to be in Canada, and we'll get to watch it. And we will also come see your play.
Come see my
in
play.
March. That sounds beautiful. It sounds
it's gonna be a great show.
Gorgeous. It sounds like a gorgeous show. So amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. And we learned so much, and you're amazing. And I'm happy we're sharing a similar spiritual level right now of be happy anyways.
Yeah.
Like, just be happy anyways. Like, just choose happiness or joy or peace or whatever it is. Just don't choose peace. Just choose peace.
Yeah.
That's it.
You don't have to be happy, anxious, depressed. Just relax.
Just choose relax.
Exactly. Inner peace.
Amazing.
Priceless.
Exactly.
Priceless. I love that. Okay.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. Yeah.
So for today's takeaways, 1, don't take yourself too seriously. 2, do your best, but release your expectations. Your acting career is always evolving. 3, do your inner work. The pressure is present on big and small productions. And 4, show up to every role with confidence. You belong there. Yay! Thanks, everybody. Have a great week or a couple of days, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
If you're enjoying this podcast, we would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to support us.
Leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. You can share this podcast with your friends and colleagues, and follow us on social media at Book the Room Podcast.
We put out episodes weekly, so subscribe to the shows to get notified.